Hello, thank you for tuning in. When I was 12 years old, I began watching pornography quite regularly, and I think it would be fair to say that by high school I was addicted. Now, some people will tell you that there's no such thing as pornography addiction, and some people will say that even if there is such a thing, pornography overall is not bad. Well, I disagree with both of those points, but I'm not really here to make that case today. You can do your own research. There's plenty of great videos and articles out there about the neuroscience behind pornography addiction, and it proves that it is real, and it is something that needs to be done away with. And so I attempted to do away with it in many different ways, many different times over the years, and finally in 2022, in the summer, I decided to attend a Sexaholics Anonymous group. Now, first of all, it might have been a surprise to you to even hear that there is such a thing as a Sexaholics Anonymous group. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for people who watch porn. I was certainly surprised to find this out. And I attended this group for a summer, and for many reasons, it didn't quite do the job that it was supposed to do. I think it was a good start, and I certainly don't mean to say that one shouldn't go to a SA group if they have a pornography problem. It might help you. But for a few reasons, it didn't quite fit the bill for me, and I think one of them was the 12 steps. Now, I realize that the 12 steps of SA are just about the same as the 12 steps of AA, and these have been used for so long that you got to really have balls to call them out and say it's not working. Well, I don't mean to say that it won't work for everybody. It will probably work for many people. However, certain aspects of those steps failed to catch on with me, and I think failed to make the program work for me. And as a matter of fact, it took leaving the program and working with perhaps a selection of what I learned there, but ultimately forming my own path to get sobriety. So I wasn't sober until after I left the program. About a year and a half later is when I finally got there. But I was only in the program for the one summer. Well, so I decided to write my own 12 steps, and I called them the 12 Steps of Sexaholics Unanonymous. And this is because one of the founding principles of my own sobriety and how I got there was to actually bring the addiction to light. Now, SA sort of encourages that insofar as they want you to have a sponsor, and they want you to share with your sponsor and occasionally with the whole group about your struggles and work through the steps with somebody else. But other than that, you're supposed to be, as it says in the group, anonymous. And I don't quite think that's the way to do it. Now, again, to each his own, but this, I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. I don't think that's the way to do it because I think that immorality, certainly addiction, thrives in the metaphorical darkness, in the shadows. The more of a secret it is, the easier it is to keep doing it, right? A lot of how addiction works is just the cycle of shame. You do it, you feel bad, but you don't tell anybody. So then, in order to not feel so bad anymore, you do it again to get the dopamine rush, and that's the cycle, okay? So my idea was to basically bring my addiction to light more or less in my public life. Now, I don't mean to say that you need to call up everybody in your contacts list and tell them unannounced, hey, this is who I am. This is what I've been dealing with for all these years. But I just mean to say you need to start to be willing to talk about it if you have to. You know what I mean? If the subject happens to naturally present itself, then you ought to start letting people know that this is part of who you are, because what you'll find is that most people will just accept it. Even if they're a little weirded out by it, they'll ultimately just say, okay, I understand. Thank you for telling me. I'm here to support you. That type of thing. And you'll feel so much better about it because you'll realize, for the most part, nobody's going to react negatively to this because everybody else in your life may not have the same addiction that you have, but I think most people have, if not an addiction, at least something that they just kind of lean on a little too much. I think we all have that, even if it's just caffeine, you know? So anyway, I made the 12 Steps of Sexaholics Unanonymous. And today I'll read them to you. And it begins with a little preface, a note to people who are in Sexaholics Anonymous, if they happen to see this video. With much respect to the founders and the members of Sexaholics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, these new steps of recovery have been designed with a greater influence on practicality, clarity, and inclusivity. I hope you will take them to heart and that they will further assist you in your journey. So here are the 12 steps that I came up with. Step 1, we admitted that our lives were intolerable in part to our use of pornography. Step 2, we came to believe that a power within our hearts could save us from our misery. A power with a capital P. Step 3, we made a decision to live a life attuned to the divine force in the universe that men have called God. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we brought all our darkest thoughts and deeds in exact detail into the light where their power dies. Step 6, we carefully decided upon new, healthy rituals, behaviors, and habits that reflect the person we want to be. Step 7, we began to restructure our lives and selves via the practice of these new, healthy habits, which replaced our old, unhealthy ones. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we know fell victim to the unfair behaviors brought on by our addictive lifestyle. Step 9, we made direct, in-person amends with each individual on the list, regardless of the consequences we feared. Step 10, we continued to track personal progress, and if we ever relapsed, promptly brought it to light, thus continuing to weaken pornography's hold upon our minds. Step 11, we added quiet meditation to our list of healthy habits and practiced it daily for at least an unbroken half hour, so that we might experience regular periods of time in which the day's chaos is not bombarding our senses. Finally, step 12, we carried this message to other sexaholics in every way we can. It's this. And then this is how I decided to conclude this little booklet. These steps are at their most effective once the individual is at least 21 to 30 days removed from their last porn viewing. This removal period clears the mind, just enough for the individual to be capable of making important judgment calls, such as when, where, how, and in what order to complete these steps. The way to achieve a successful 21 plus days of sobriety, you must determine for yourself.